Ladies and gentlemen, live from Kelvin University, it's The Tonight Show!
Welcome, friends, to The Tonight Show. I'm your host, Jack Droppers. We have a great show for you tonight. The Jane Bruin is here, and we will have a musical performance by Jordan Hamilton. But first, let's check up on the news. Well, it has been a week. Can you believe that last Tuesday was 7 days ago? Just 7 days ago. I mean, I remember how young we were last week, 7 days ago, before all of this happened? I mean, for reference, let's look at a picture of me last Monday. Yeah, look how young and vibrant I am. Look at those biceps. What happened? I mean, at this rate, I don't know how much I will go through. How much am I going to age in 2020? Can we get a picture of what I'll look like at the end of 2021? Yeah, that pans out. And apparently I never got that haircut that I've been meaning to get. Anyways, in order to avoid the minefield of political-related news that is already overwhelming your screen, let's catch up on some campus news. Last week, it was announced that this spring semester, we will not be having a spring break. Let's check in with what students are thinking about this.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Finally, amidst the many changes that we've seen due to COVID, we've seen some of the most major ones in the way that our dining halls operate. Therefore, we've had several suggestions that we talk about the quality of food in our dining halls here on the show. So let me just talk directly to Commons Dining Hall for a second. Commons, baby, you know how much I love you. How I bragged to all my friends when I got this job about how I was going to be on meal plan. I kept bringing my wife on dates to hang out in Commons Dining Hall. You know when I say this, I mean it out of love. And it's been a hard year. First with the let's get rid of soft serve stuff, and now the copious amounts of styrofoam. But Commons, honey, sweetheart, we gotta stop it with the pierogies. I get, it's a fun word to say, but it's basically just a mashed potato stuffed inside ravioli. And if we have pierogies, does the side also need to be a potato? I mean, how many potatoes can one human body handle? So Commons, sweetheart, let's do better together. I'll move the vegetables to the big rectangle if you agree to have that fried chicken sandwich every week. Deal? We got this. Anyways, for the rest of you, we'll be right back with Jane Bruin.
Welcome back. She is the director of the Center for Intercultural Student Development and probably the busiest person on campus this week, which is why we are so glad that she is here. So welcome, Jane Bruin.
Thank you for having me.
Jane, thanks so much for being on the show. I want to talk about this week, which is on Learn Week. But before we do that, you and I have something in common in that we watched an absurd amount of television over quarantine, and I want to know, what shows have you been into?
All right, so it is a little embarrassing how much television and movies that we have been watching at home, mostly me. So I am a huge Marvel fan, so I did go through all of the Marvel movies.
Oh, wow.
Over quarantine. And then Netflix shows that I was really into were Kim's Convenience.
Yes, incredible.
Never Have I Ever.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I really enjoyed watching The Umbrella Academy. Back to those comics, right?
Yes,
so,
there you go. My wife Elizabeth and I watched Kim's Convenience as well. And I think part of the allure of it is, if you haven't seen it, it's set in Toronto. I didn't know any of the actors in it previously. And so we felt like we had friends for those few weeks that we like binged the show, and that like we could call up real friends, or we could hang out with the Kim family. Like, and so
Right.
there's something about that where it's like actors that I don't know if you had seen them in previous things, but I was surprised by how lonely we felt after we'd finished that show.
I think that is like it's a hallmark of that show in particular. I think there was like one actor that I may have known, but like there was so much familiarity in like the storylines and the characters that it just felt like I was part of their lives, and it felt like that to us too. Like we watched it, after we put our son to bed, and then we'd like turn it on, and it just feel like, oh, I'm at home. Because really it was just the three of us, during no one else that we're seeing, but it felt like we were just like visiting someone else. That seemed
Yes, this is our social life.
right. Sad.
It reminded me in some ways of my older brother. I remember one time was living alone in an apartment for a few weeks, and he was watching what's the football show, Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
And he called me once, and he's just like, hey, I just needed to connect with somebody. I realized last night when I was praying that I was praying for the characters in Friday Night Lights. And I should probably connect with someone else. Like, that's what Kim's convenience was for Elizabeth and I. So by the time this airs, it'll be Tuesday of Unlearn Week, which is this incredible week that Calvin does. How many years in a row has Calvin done this?
This is its 21st year.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So I had no idea what Unlearn Week was when I started here in January. But I had a student come to me and explain their story, and he explained to me that when he came to Calvin, he had some fairly far-right white supremacist ideals in his life, and he came, and his floor mate actually, his freshman year, invited him to Unlearn Week, and he said it literally changed this guy's life, and that by the end of it, he was beginning to sort of awaken to the reality of his neighbors, but also thinking, how does my life sort of change because of this? How do I treat people differently? What do I do professionally? And I'm sure you encounter stories like this all the time through this week. So for maybe viewers that are unfamiliar with Unlearn Week, or are freshmen, or are just getting into this, can you explain what this year's theme is, and what sort of makes you really excited to do this over and over again?
I would love to. So 21 years ago, Calvin has a relationship with the Christian Reformed Church. And 21 years ago, there was this mandate in the Christian Reformed Church to kind of commit to anti-racism. And Calvin's response to that was Unlearn Week. And what I love about Unlearn Week is it provides space for conversations that we all want to have, but maybe don't always feel safe about it. Maybe we come from places where we feel like maybe we should know this, but we don't know this, and we're embarrassed by that. And that feels like we don't want to engage people because we don't maybe know enough. And for other people, it's a matter of sharing where they're from. And so what I love about Unlearn Week is it provides healthy places for people to come together. You might not all come from the same backgrounds, but Unlearn Week is a safe place to have those conversations. There are no stupid questions. It's about learning things that we may not have learned before. I had that experience after I graduated college and seminary. I got to go to this, it was like a core initiative for like learning about inclusion and diversity. And I learned so many things that it was like a 9-week course that I never learned in my history classes. I never learned growing up. And it just opened my eyes to other people's experiences. And I was like, oh, I really appreciate knowing those things, and like learning how I experience something is completely different to someone else experiencing the same thing. And so when I came to Calvin to work here, my colleague at the time, Kyrie Williams, he's now in Texas doing amazing things, would like put on these Unlearn Week programs, and every year I would learn something new. And I appreciate that. Like even doing diversity and inclusion work for 20 years, there's always something new that I learn at Unlearn Week. But it's not that it's for people that have done the work for 20 years. There's something for every level of engagement, and there's something for something to learn from all different areas. So we're excited about that. And we're excited about just hearing people's perspectives, hearing people's thoughts about things, and then just engaging with people and really thinking about what God's kingdom looks like and what it should look like, and how we as people here at Calvin can think about issues so that we can complete our missions to think deeply, act justly, and live wholeheartedly as Christ agents of renewal.
So this year is probably going to be different, not only because of the limitations of that COVID have given us, but also we're in a strange year to do this work, in that it's an election year. This summer we had the curse of watching yet another black man get shot down by police, and then had sort of this blessing of an awakening in some senses of people who look like me saying, oh my goodness, this is a problem, and finally realizing that. I'm curious, as you go into planning a new year of this, how does that change the reality of Unlearn Week? Thinking about COVID and the limitations with that, but also that people are sort of hungry for this, and hopefully that means that Calvin students are also hungry for this, and how do you plan differently when that's the case?
Right. So I think it should be said that we do our planning with our student leadership team. So the student leadership team in our office that works on Unlearn Week in specific is the Multicultural Student Advisory Board. So they're the ones that come up with the theme, and we come up with some of the programming. And our students were really impacted this summer, by all the things that happened in terms of the COVID crisis, for sure. There was an there was an over-representation of COVID deaths and impact for communities of color. So that was one thing that our students were dealing with at the time. And then also when it came to George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, there was a lot of feelings. So that's actually where our theme came this year. And our theme is be a racial justice warrior, fight for change, the time is now. And that really came out of the sense of even our students, but a lot of people like yourself, realizing that something needs to change. And this issue isn't racism and racial justice. These injustices isn't an issue for a specific community or communities of color. It's actually an issue that affects all of us, and is something that we all need to strive towards. So that's kind of where our theme came. Our general theme every year is unlearn stereotypes, biases, and racism. And then this year we're kind of really focused on racial justice and being proponents of racial justice. It really is time, it feels like, to start pushing for that. And what was interesting this year when it came to our sessions was I put out a notice on Calvin News saying who would like to teach a session, and it was amazing the response I got. You can see that even though we're online for much of the year much of the week because of our COVID rules, there are a lot of sessions. It's because everyone is feeling that way. That I love this about Calvin. No matter what area or field we're in, we see avenues for racial justice. And so you'll see that our professors, our students, our staff have come up with amazing sessions in all these areas where it comes to racial justice. So I'm really excited. There's some really good sessions that I'm excited for all the sessions, but some in particular, we have some big names and we have some people that are really worth listening to. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to take part of it. Where can people find more information about those sessions?
Right. So I brought with me a poster. The poster just has our theme on it, and you will see a QR code. So if you're walking by and you see a poster, you can just use the QR code to get to our website. So if you search Unlearn Week or go to the calendar and search Unlearn Week on the Calvin website, all of our events are there, and then the links to all of the events, if they're online events, are right in that page. So that's our main page. And then if you see a poster, you can just use your phone and click on the QR code, and it'll lead you to our list of events.
There you go. Wonderful. We're going to take a short break, but when we get back, we are going to pretend to be arch critics. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I'm sitting down with Jane Bruin, and what we both know a ton about Netflix TV shows, but when it comes to high art, both of us are pretty clueless. So we're going to play a game called Modern Art Critic. Now, the way that Modern Art Critic works is each of us will take turns looking at a piece of modern art. We will give it a name and tell you about its painter, and describe to you why this is such an essential piece to the work of modern art. I apologize, Brent, who works in the gallery. We are about to butcher things that you maybe love. So I'll go first to make a fool of myself first, and then Jane will take the second painting. So let's look at our first painting. Yes. So this is a famous painting called Pumpkin Cubism by Ruru Slavinsky. He's a Polish artist who is known for taking fall themes. So this one is actually, you may be able to tell this already, but it's actually 10 pumpkin spice lattes that are digitized and zoomed in on, and then he just painted it exactly what that looked like on an old Nokia brick cell phone, and then he painted it. So yeah, there you go. Our second painting, Jane, you can take this one.
Yes. So this is, it's a French piece, and it's by Francois Lefroufrou.
Oh, yes.
And it signifies what happens. So it's a modern piece, and it's actually quite modern. So it was what happens when you try to teach homeschool art to your children that are home because of COVID at your kitchen table. And so at the end, what would happen is you would get all kinds of, so it's actually made out of paint splatters that are from other art pieces, and also food crumbs and coffee grounds and all the things that you experience at a kitchen table during homeschool, during COVID.
Yeah, and what was the artist's name again? Is it
Francois Lefroufrou.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought you said. All right, the third art piece. Oh yes, this one is just a classic. This is called, is that lead paint? And it is by Adrian Van Stie, famous Dutch painter from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And what I love about Van Stie's work is it's true to the minimalist trends. This is just a picture of his bathroom wall and the paint cracking because the humidifier broke over the summer, which we've all seen before at the black walls that we paint in our own homes. This one, you can see, similar to the work of Lefroufrou. You can see that what started out as an accident has become something that some might call a black square. All right, final piece.
So this piece here is one of my favorites, and it actually comes from the eastern part of the world, actually a region that I'm from too, South Asia, and it's by an artist named Rangila Rangoli. And as you can see, it's a statement about the moon landing, and about how there's actually a conspiracy theory about the moon landing that everything is done in black and white, and really the moon is actually not white or silver, but it's full of color. And so Rangila Rangoli himself is all about color, and so wanted to talk about the fact that there is evidence from alien technology and alien TV shows that there is actually a lot of color on the moon. So this is just a statement in terms of wanting to go against the conspiracy of making everything so black and white.
Are there a lot of moon landing conspiracy theories where Ranguli is from?
Yes, there are.
Well, you learn something new every week. Speaking of learning, Unlearn Week. Make sure to go back to the QR code that we just showed. And attend a seminar. We all can do the work of both learning about modern art and pushing against our own biases. So make sure that you attend Unlearn Week seminars this week. Jane, thank you so much for coming in. We'll be right back with a performance by Jordan Hamilton.
Just go for it, or
just go for it? Dope.
Grinding my shine from the finer things in life. You know I can't hide. To find, I gotta focus on my. To find, I gotta focus on my. Oh. I'm on my grind in my shine from the finer things in life. You know I can't hide. To find, I gotta focus on my. To find, I gotta focus on my. Oh.
More than one way to do this shit. More than 5 about to do this shit. We gon' find a way to do this shit. I'ma love you forever. Hey, that's what the queen said, babe. Still keep attracting great. Don't know what to say. I'm still learning, it's okay. I'ma get the final say on the way to the holy grave. We gon' get this grind right only if we fall in these folly ways. I'm not chasing dollars, B. I'm just trying to let time be. Live life, live me, be free, see dreams, see food, see.
I'm grinding on my shine from the finer things in life. You know I can't hide. To find, I gotta focus on my. To find, I gotta focus on my. Grinding in my shine from the finer things in life. You know I can't hide. To find, I gotta focus on my. To find, I gotta focus on my. Oh.
I'm not chasing dollars, B. I'm just trying to let time be. Live life, live me, be free, see dreams, see food, see. I look too far at the box, but I never slept in a car. But I slept right out the car. Chasing dreams, gotta stay mobile so they never get far. Know who you are, can never said, can never saw, can never had who. Know who you are, the divine miracle that manifested straight out the blue. Know that I'm not chasing dollars, B. I'm just trying to let time be. Live life, live me, be free, see dreams, see food, see. See food, see.
And that's the show. Thanks so much to Jane Bruin for stopping by and for Jordan Hamilton for swinging by and playing his songs. If you want to catch more of him, we will have a mini concert and conversation with him airing this Thursday. But also his band Last Gasp Collective will be playing on October 17th in the CFAC Auditorium. You need to be there. That's it. Have a good night.